Good Sunday morning, everyone. It is October the 23rd, and it's a cloudy Sunday with a little bit of rain and drizzle on and off earlier this morning. Now, that was expected. We only had a 10% chance of rain in, and sure enough, only 10% of Region 8 saw that rain. What we're going to do now is turn our attention to the next couple of days and into Wednesday and Thursday when the next cold front is expected to move through. And currently at 300 millibar chart, we see a very strong trough there, a little bit of duffluence ahead of a very strong jet streak, but very broad also. We go forward throughout the course of the day. We enter the exit region, the left front quadrant, which generally means sinking air, but what we saw earlier this morning was more conducive of rising air. But I think we can see partly cloudy skies this afternoon, and clouds clearing out for much of the week ahead through Monday into Tuesday. We see a very flat, very broad upper ridge setting up just briefly before you see a very positively tilted shortwave trough, a more long-wave trough at this point in time, moving its way closer to the area, just now coming on shore on the Pacific coast, however. Wind speeds really starting to get going overnight Tuesday into Wednesday morning. Throughout the day Wednesday, that long-wave trough continues to get closer, and by the end of the NAM forecast period, still off to our west with the axis going from the Dakotas all the way back toward the Four Corners area here. Take a look at the 500 millibar chart. Currently a vortex in place, but by noon today the long wave trough should take a more neutral tilt and then continue to move off to our east in the next couple of days. And we still see that very weak ridge at 500 millibars, with a jet stream still going to the north, bringing those vortexes just north of the area. And then setting up by Tuesday afternoon, we still see our very positively tilted long wave trough in their vortex, making its way east into the Four Corners area by the end of the NAM forecast period, which is late in the day on Wednesday. Still seeing cloudy skies currently at your 700 millibar chart. That should move out by this evening and see partly cloudy skies there. Mostly clear skies, plentiful sunshine on Monday and a Tuesday with only a few clouds here and there. You can see the relative humidity at your 700 millibar chart very low. That's below 70%, and that generally means partly cloudy to mostly clear skies depending on how dry it gets. But we begin to see that trough setting up still at 700 millibars, also very strong, and some very high relative humidity on the forward edge of this, around 70% entering northwestern Arkansas by noon Wednesday. So we could begin to see some cloud cover by the afternoon hours, especially by 6 o'clock p.m. Probably some high cirrus clouds beginning to make their way into Region 8. Our 850 millibar chart showing 9 degrees Celsius. That's pretty much right on for this time of year at 850 millibars. We keep on going the next couple of days. A little bit of warm air advection setting up in the Great Plains there. You see the isobars perpendicular to the temperature gradient lines, and whenever we see on the front side of a low pressure system a southerly wind being pumped up, on the back side we have very cold air being drawn down. It's very typical of these mid-latitude cyclones. As we continue to move a little more forward with the NAM toward the end of the forecast period, warm air advection getting very close to Region 8 in northwestern Arkansas. The very tight pressure gradient, very tight temperature gradient indicates a cold front on the back side. You still see these boxes that are indicative of warm air advection on the front side of the cold front. As we get closer to the end of the forecast period, it seems like the pressure gradient tends to weaken a little bit. Also, the warm air advection tends to weaken. We don't see those tight boxes that we had once seen. When we take it to the sea level pressure and the precip, you see that any rain should be moved out of the area by this afternoon and this evening, with the high pressure briefly making a return and continuing to move eastward. Should pump up southerly wind tomorrow afternoon into Tuesday also. Some very strong wind at times on Tuesday and throughout the day on Wednesday as a low pressure develops over the Texas Panhandle and moves northeast along the cold front, just like what we saw last week. And by the end of the forecast period, Wednesday evening, we see a cold front nearing Region 8, mostly in northwestern Arkansas. Now we're on the GFS, the 12Z GFS run, to show you what's going on beyond 84 hours. This is throughout the day on Wednesday. Cold front continuing to get closer, and by Thursday morning some very heavy precip showing right over Region 8. And if you look on your key to the left, that's around 1 inch of rain possible. And stalling out as it seems to be doing over the next few days, all the way through Thursday night. And should be out of the area by Friday morning. Maybe some leftover rain throughout the day on Friday. Alright, now beyond 84 hours, we do have that shortwave trough, eventually possibly phasing into an upper low, a cutoff low by Friday morning and moving eastward, and eventually phasing back into a shortwave trough. And beyond that upper low on into the weekend, the beginning of next week, we do see a broad area of upper ridging, which means quiet weather for next weekend. And that'll do it for today's edition of the video blog at briansweather.wordpress.com. Be sure to watch Region 8 News at 5 and 10 this evening. We'll have more updates on the weather forecast coming up. Have a good one.